and behind here now. There's options in the box. Gustavo brings it 2-0.
Last second, will it be now? Towards the back post, across goal! They have it! The substitute, Cho Yu-sung!
이영재가 다시 한번 기적을
Hello, 안녕하세요. Welcome to this live edition of the K-League United podcast. Yes, we're bringing it back, gentlemen. We're live, no notes, no script, and, well, not a clue on how this works. It's been far too long. But joining me on this wild adventure is Paul Neat. How are you, Paul?
I'm not too bad. Matthew, how are you?
I'm doing very well, panicking with the controls a bit here. And Andrew, you seem to have relocated to the Big Bird for this evening.
Yeah, I have. I actually left. It sounds pretty weird, but I left a tumbler in this exact position where I took this photograph 2 weeks ago against Jeonbuk Masan. So I'm fluting around Songnam looking for my tumbler that's been left somewhere inside the stadium. It feels great to be in the company of you two men who have shook hands. Certainly one of you, anyway, with Jesse Lingard.
Yeah,
Yes.
this one.
Haven't watched it since.
Haven't watched it since.
Yeah, Paul was there in the press conference. I snuck out the back of the press conference to have a mix zone all to myself. But we will be talking a little bit about the experience at Seoul World Cup Stadium on what was a Super Sunday, I think, in K-League, where we had not one but two massive games in the capital this weekend. Yes, I am talking about the K-League 2 clash between Seoul Eland and Suwon Samsung Bluewings. We're going to be going through that match. We've got some stuff from the mix zone there. Then we'll be talking about Jesse Lingard's much publicized home debut at home to Incheon United in the Gyeongin Derby. We'll be going through that. And then we may have to talk about the Jeonbuk Ulsan result from this evening, as much as it will pain me. But we'll try and pick it back up with our hot takes on Hwan Sung-hong's first career lineup. And they will be hot because I've really just loaded them up now. But I do know, obviously, the headline picks. Yes, this is as professional as we get. So without further ado, gentlemen, let's plow on, shall we? So, as I mentioned, we're going to go straight into K-League 2 first, and we're going to be looking at Sunday's game. We're not going to be going into every game this week. It's just really a recap of the key fixtures. And that key fixture was in Mokdong. Andrew, you were there for the second-tier super match, the superior match. It's been called many things, but the super match it ain't.
Yeah, Seoul Eland 2, Suwon Samsung 1. There were 9,123 fans at the game. There was a huge following. You probably saw the photographs. There's a huge following of away fans at the game. A decent home support too. It felt like a big occasion. I don't know how often Mokdong has felt like that since Seoul Eland moved in, but it had all the. It just looked like a K-League 1 game, basically. That's in the second tier, and maybe in the next couple of years, you might see this fixture turn up in K-League 1. It was I don't know how much of it you saw, but it was a dreadful game for about 52 minutes. And then Bruno Silva opened the scoring for Eland. And from that moment on, Suwon Bluewings just shot into life. They had a much better second half, obviously, than they had the first half. Eland were against the ropes. And as you'll hear from Peter McCrillis later on, he was saying, and in the dressing room afterwards, the players had said that they were disappointed not to hold on to that 1-0 lead. John Jinu equalized at 78 minutes gone, but from that moment onwards, they were on the ropes, and he admitted that as well. McCrillis also went on to say that they hadn't played well in their first two games, but they stormed back. They won this game in the 94th minute. Cho Dong-jae with an unbelievable finish in the 4th minute of added on time. It's the second game in a row now that they've gone on to wrap up or win in injury time at the end of the game. And if they're not playing as well as he thinks they should be playing, then it's worrying for the rest of the league, really, because they're top of the table, played 2-1-2, 4 goals scored, 1 conceded. And I have to say, I know it might sound a little bit obvious, but Osmar was absolutely brilliant on Sunday. He had Mulic in his pocket for the entire game. I thought it must have been pretty galling for the Bluewings fans to see Mulic getting substituted off early for Kim Hyun. He was the guy who scored 2 goals, obviously, last week against Cheongna Masan, but he didn't get a sniff from Osmar. It was as professional a performance as you could possibly hope to see at this level. The Bluewings had 60% possession, 14 shots on goal to Elan's 7. They had 70% possession pretty much on average for the last 30 minutes. But it's just this thing when you watch the Bluewings. Probably a few other K-League fans might say the same thing about whatever team they follow. The build-up play, there's not a huge amount of urgency. Everything is through the middle. There isn't a lot of width. At one point, I saw 3 of their central midfielders bumping into each other in the first half. Kim Sang-joon has returned from Busan for this season. He just kept giving the ball away in midfield. And as I said, Mulic was completely outplayed by Osmar at the back. So, but it's all about, I mean, they like this, give all the credit to Eland. That last play when Jo Dong-jae scored the winner, they had 5 men in the Bluewings box in the 94th minute. And I thought that was pretty extraordinary because they were on the ropes, they were hanging on. But it's probably a Kim Do-gyun sign that pretty much everybody pushed forward. The Bluewings had a penalty shout 30 seconds before that. It looked like they were discombobulated. Maybe they lost concentration because the decision didn't go their way. But I was surprised by how many men swarmed forward in the 4th minute of injury time. And they got the winner that they probably deserved. Suwon were much better in the second half. But yeah, Seoul Leland are top of the table alongside Jeonbuk Cheongju FC.
It's a brave new world, yes. So Leland, it looked really good fun actually from what I saw of the second half. I know you said it was quite boring for those first 52 minutes. I thought actually Suwon were really well organised those first 52 minutes, and then it all just kind of fell apart as they had to push forward in search of an equaliser. But before we go into a bit more analysis on this match, let's hear from Peter McCrillos. You spoke to him first, so let's hear what he had to say.
Okay, we're joined by Peter McCrillos now in the mix zone after Seoul Leland FC's 2-1 win over the Bluewings today. Everything I wanted to ask you changed in the 93rd minute of that game. What was your view of that absolute screamer to win the game?
Unbelievable. No words can describe how we felt. Obviously him scoring that important goal. The boys were buzzing. I think we could have held out the game a bit, conceding that goal 1-1, but it was a great goal. You can see it for yourself, man. It was excellent finish.
I was trying to pick you out in the fury afterwards. Like, everybody looked like they were running down to the corner flag. Were you amongst that crew?
I was amongst it, man. And I had a bust up knee and I was just running, man. It was amazing feeling, celebration with the team. Yeah. Amazing feelings.
I was going to ask you about that. So 72 minutes on your home debut for Elan today. It looked like you were limping when you went off. You said something about your knee, is it?
Yeah, I had a knock on my knee just before the half time. Got started there in the knee. So I was struggling a little bit during the game. So that's the reason why I came out.
And just throughout that game, had a bit of a couple of battles with Suwon's number 16, Lee Jong-sung. I look at one point like he took a bit of a dive when you kind of came together, and then it appeared like he was accusing you of play acting just before halftime as well. Just part of the game?
Yeah, you can say that. I've heard a lot of stories about him, but this is football, man. So we won the game. It's the most important. So yeah.
So the move up over the winter from Cheongju, who of course now actually joined Seoul Leland at the top of the table. How's the move been so far? Are you delighted to play for Eland?
Yeah, very happy. Obviously coming to this club, I know the ambition of this club, and that's why they brought me here for me to help the team to be promoted, man. So I'm enjoying myself, adapting well. Just want to continue playing and giving the team.
So over to our left there, Osmar is getting a lot of attention. How great is it to play with a guy like him after all those appearances in K-League 1?
Yeah, very good. Not also just for myself, but for everyone, Very experienced player, helping every player individually as well. So yeah, we're very lucky to have him, and sure he's going to help us reach our goal this season.
So just looking at the table, because this year looks potentially tougher than last season, and when you were at Cheongju, you guys almost made the playoffs. It came down to the last couple of weekends of the season. Do you think promotion is a realistic game this season?
Well, yeah, that's what we're thinking about. I think it's realistic. You know, we've played against, you could say, the two strongest teams of the league who were speaking about being promoted this year, and we've won twice. You know, our performances weren't great, but we have a lot to improve, and that should be worrying for the other teams because once we get our rhythm and playing well, the sky's the limit for us.
Last question for you then, because next Saturday it's off to Bucheon. Just keep the show on the road.
Yeah, continue the same, prepare the same as we have for these games. The game is as important as it was today, and in this league anyone can win on the day, man. So we just need to come bring our A game, be ready for the game, and sure we'll go for the 3 points.
Well, Peter McCrillis, congratulations. I said a 2-1 win for Seoul Eland over the Suwon Bluewings today, and we wish you all the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
Peter McCrillis there in the mix zone in Mokdong. Yeah, a bit concerning about his knee injury there at the end, though, Andrew. How was he looking after that?
There was a clash just before halftime, right in front of me, in front of the Seoul Eland dugout, and I brought that up with him because Lee Jong-sung, whereas number 16 for the Bluewings, he likes to get involved. Those two were at each other for the entire game. Anytime one of them made a foul, the other guy was over to referee looking for a card. Lee Jong-sung looked like he went down really easily after the merest of pushes from McCrillis, and then that incident just before halftime. It looked pretty serious when McCrillis went down. It looked like he got some studs. I can't remember if it was in his knee or it was in his midriff. Anyway, he went down and he was clearly in pain. And Lee Jong-sung went over to him and told him to get up and accused him of play diving. And then Osmar came over and got involved, and there was a lot of pushing and shoving. There was a lot of that throughout the game. There was a lot of needle, really, which was good to see because obviously Michael Redmond mentioned this in his pre-match as a preview of the game. But he did look like he was struggling at halftime. I was surprised he lasted 72 minutes based on that. And I was looking for him because you could see with that winner in the 94th minute, all the players haired off down towards my right, and they couldn't make him out. But I saw the highlights of again this morning. You could see that knee was heavily bandaged. It'd be interesting to see if he's fit for the weekend game. It's a short journey. It's the shortest journey that Eland have all season, just down the road to play against Bucheon. But he had a good game. He had another good game for them. His set pieces are pretty dangerous. And there's probably a better way of putting it, but he's obviously a bit of a nuisance in midfield. He's a battler. He's a fighter, and he got properly stuck in on Sunday. Good performance from him. A good performance from everybody, really, for Eland.
It's a good point that he made there that I hadn't realised until he said that the two strongest teams, or the two teams that have been picked for automatic promotion, it's like, yeah, Busan and the Bluewings, and they beat them both. So they, it's obviously very early days, but it bodes very well, doesn't it, for Seoul Eland at this early stage of the season?
Yeah, it really does. It really does. And I kind of do want to talk about Bluewings a little bit, but I think right now would be a good point to talk, hear from Peter McCrillis' central midfield partner, Osmar, because he had such an influence on the game. And you, Andrew, managed to catch up with him as well after the game. So let's hear what Osmar has to say.
Okay, we're joined by Osmar now after Seoul Eland's 2-1 win over the Bluewings. Congratulations, great win.
Thank you very much. Important win. Yeah. Second round, big team, home game. We cannot ask for more.
Because of your history in Korea, does it mean a little bit more because it's against the Bluewings, or is it just any other game?
Well, I would say we started a new history.
Yeah.
I've been involved in the derby in KLA with FC Seoul. Now it's a new history, and we start with the right foot. So we start getting the points. So it's nice.
And as you said, the points, so 2 games, 6 points, 4 goals, only 1 conceded, and you've beaten Busan iPark, who nearly went up last season, and the Bluewings, that people think could be the favourites, or one of the favourites go up. Could you have asked for a better start to the season?
No, clearly not. Clearly not. As I said here to some other colleagues, we have a new team, a lot of new players. We have to adapt to each other, adapt to the coach. We have big goals. And bringing the result, it was kind of a priority, these 2 games against 2 of the favorite teams to promote. So we will start from that. We will get more confidence, hopefully improve our performances. But for now, everything's going well.
It's like a dream. You mentioned the goals there, because I was talking to Peter McCrillis before we spoke to you. Is the goal promotion?
Yes, for sure. All the players that we came, a lot of veterans from first division, some youngsters with a big ambition as well. Why not?
Yeah. And just on yourself personally, then 96 minutes on your home debut, you feeling good?
I'm getting tired, but yeah, I feel really good. The way we won today is nothing you work on during the week. It's not the tactics. It's not, the game when against us the last minutes. They got the goal and then they get the energy, and suddenly we turn it around, which is really hard to do in football. So that's very positive.
Just last question from me then, because you're obviously unbelievably experienced playing in Korean football, but you dropped down a division to K-League 2. You had a great game today. There's a lot of media wanted to talk to you after the game, and when I was in the post-match press conference, your name comes up a lot. Everybody wants to talk to Osmar. Do you feel like, as one of the most experienced players in the team, do you feel like an extra responsibility this season to help guide a lot of the younger players and the players that maybe haven't played at the same level as you?
Yeah, probably yes. It's my career. I've played here for a long time. My name has some weight. You can say that like that. So I know why I came here. I know what I have to do. What is my role? Not only on the pitch, but what is my role? But it's no different from what I was in FC Seoul.
Okay.
I was already veteran there. I was captain. So here is pretty much the same thing. But even more, because we have a lot of players with not many games, not much experience. So I have to be a leader, a mentor for them, give little advices, give security, give confidence. So it comes with my name, and this is what I have to do. I cannot avoid it.
Great. So look, we wish you all the best. Congratulations on a great start to the season, and hopefully you can see you challenging at the top of the table throughout the rest of the year.
Hopefully.
Osmar there in the mix zone in Mokdong. They're starting a new history with Suwon Bluewings and their rivalry with Seoul Ilan. Some would say that he's actually gone down to K-League 2 to make sure Suwon Bluewings don't come back up. He's that committed to the cause. Paul, I mean, I don't know how much of the game you actually saw from the weekend, but Suwon Bluewings,
I saw bits. I think I was mostly looking at it from a Seoul Ilan perspective, because on first glance, that first goal was a bit scrappy, but Ikoba did very, very well to keep the ball under pressure in the box and then keep the chance alive for Bruno Silva. It's really smart play there. And I just thought, for the most part, Eland had sort of good defensive organisation and structure. And obviously, as Andrew just talked about with Osmar, the experience that he's got, over 280 appearances in K-League alone. And then his partner in defence, Kim Oh-gyu, has over 360. So, you have those two. They are genuine K-League 1 players, and you got Kim Young-uk in midfield, who I think is a fantastic player. And I just thought it was a very professional performance. But then, like Osmar said, that ending wasn't tactical, And then I think the way that they won against Busan in round 1, whether they scored 2 goals in added time, I think because they did that, that's what kept them going, I think, in this game, despite them having that equaliser for the Bluewings quite late. Not too late, but late enough to sort of make you think, oh, well, we might want to just shut up shop here and protect what we have. But no, they were brave, and then they kept on going. The Bluewings, unfortunately, I think, as Andrew said earlier, what was key for them not winning was that Mulic was kept very quiet by Osmar, on another day against another team. Because Mulic was determined in that first half in particular to shoot at any chance that he got. So on another day against another team, and Osmar's not there, and it might be a different story. But great start to the season for Seoul Ilan. Bluewings will bounce back, I'm sure they will, and they'll probably use that late loser, if you will, that late goal to sort of make sure that they don't do that again next week.
Andrew, before we move on then across the Han River, anything you'd like to add about Suwon Bluewings in this game?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens now, because Pak Sang-yak has played the first 2 games, and he went off on a stretcher midway through the first half. Kim Joo-chan came on. Obviously, Kim Joo-chan is an unbelievably popular player with the Bluewings fans. think it'd be nice to see him start a game soon. I think they badly need a little bit more creativity in midfield, and one of the reasons why we keep talking about Kachki, as they call him, is because he has this ability to be able to just look up and then ping a 30-yard ball along the ground to either Kim Ji-chan or Kosti or Mulic running onto it. The problem when I watch the Bluewings, it's a lot of possession. There's a lot of small passes, a lot of players with their back to goal, receiving, giving back, receiving, giving back. There's not a huge amount of urgency, not a massive amount of energy really. It's very slow build up. So I think they need his direction in midfield more. And I'm excited to see what Maxwell Acosti's like when he comes back as well. They probably need a little bit more width on either side of Mulic. They were so good. I did think that the wing, as soon as they went 1-0 down, the Bluewings were much better. And like Kim Yeon came on. The problem with Kim Yeon up front is he's almost a veteran at this point. I think he's nearly 30 years old, but he doesn't have a great goal scoring record. And if Mulic is kept quiet, it's hard to see where the goals are going to come from with them. Actually, just one other thing as well. I don't know if there's anything to read into this, but it's a second press conference I've been to with Young Gi-hoon, and I was expecting a little bit more fire from him. I got to say, he arrives in as the away coach always comes in first, and he gives a statement, and he's looking at the table a lot, and he's not really making eye contact with anybody, and he just looked a little bit uncomfortable. But then when it came to the questions and answer session with the media, he's really pleasant, and I'd imagine he's an incredibly bright man, like the type of footballer that he was. He must have great insights. He's obviously a good person to learn from, probably at underage level at the moment. You just wonder, if Kim Do-gyun was the manager of the Bluewings, did they lose that game? We'll never know. These are all hypothetical situations. But when the press conference was over and Young Gi-hoon left the press room, I just thought it was kind of interesting that one of the senior members of the press embraced him and gave him a big hug. And there was this kind of strange consoling thing went on for a few seconds. And again, I just wonder, would an older manager have gone through that? Would he be a little bit more bullish, a little bit more angry after losing the game in the last minute? Again, all of this stuff could be nothing at the end of the season if the Bluewings go up. But you just wonder about the recruitment on the field in the winter and if they made the right decision with the manager. I hope it goes well for them. I generally do. And I think the league needs the Bluewings to do well, because we've seen that now in their first taste of an away game, how many fans they bring. Those fans will keep showing up if there's a reason to show up. And then the K-League 2 games will be a lot more interesting. And I think they need to start winning games. They go to Ansan Greeners this Sunday. They had a surprise win against Songnam at the weekend. It's not going to be easy. And as we mentioned this in the post-match, the report, teams are not going to be overawed by the fact that the Bluewings are in town. And you mentioned this actually, Matt, in the preview to the K-League 2 season. They're going to want to stick one over them. It's going to be a really difficult season for them. So they need to pick up a win away from home as soon as possible, then settle down. It's the FA Cup, and then it's the Busan iPark at the end of this month. So a big month for the Bluewings.
Indeed. And you did touch on the Songnam Ansan Greeners result there. I am going to run through the K-League 2 results. We're not going to go through the games, but I'm going to just say the results, and then we're going to have a quick break. So if you hadn't been watching this weekend in K-League 2, Ansan Greeners did record a win after, well, being predicted by many of us to struggle to get anything this season. They won 3-1 away to Songnam. Cheonan City, they fell 2-1 to Jeonbuk Cheonju. As we know, Seoul Eland 2-1 to Suwon Bluewings. Jeonnam Dragons 4, Gimpo Citizen 0. Gimpo getting their first game after having a bit of a break last week. Not the start they would have wanted after such a good season last year, but a very encouraging start for Jeonnam after a loss in that first round. Cheongnam Asan, they drew 1-1 with Bucheon FC 1995. And last but not least, the Nakdong River Derby. Gyeongnam 1. Busan iPark 4. Busan iPark definitely reacting somewhat to that 3-0 defeat in the first round to Seoul Eland. We're going to take a very, very quick break. Going to hop across the river. I'm going to look at Jesse Lingard's FC Seoul debut. So, well, don't go anywhere. And really don't go anywhere, because I put the really, really, really small break in for live. So your water's away, lads. And yeah, so welcome back to the K-League United podcast. I'm Matthew Binns. I'm joined by Paul Neat and Andrew Farrell. I don't even know why I'm going through with it at this point, but I'm going to, because it's the way we do things. Right. After that exciting match in K-League 2. In K-League 1, well, we'd been seeing the ticket sales all week for this one building up. First, it was 30,000 expected, which, is a good amount in itself. Went up to 40. We heard about the away end selling out with over 4,000 Incheon fans. In the end, a total just over 50,000 in the end went to Seoul World Cup Stadium, the highest paid attendance since 2013, or one of the highest attendances 2013, the highest paid attendance, I believe, the K-League has had for a very long time. And it was. I like to say it was because Incheon were in town for the Gyeongin Derby, but I think there was another a very obvious reason why so many fans were there. And Paul, you got there early. They weren't there for you, obviously, but the atmosphere at least.
I got there early to scope out the Lingard zone because there was a separate makeshift sort of tent shop set up for people to only buy Lingard shirts. But from what I understood of the system, it wasn't to get the shirt; it was to get the name and number to then take with the shirt separately to give to the people who press it. So it was a bit of a complicated system, but it sort of filtered out those who wanted Lingard shirts, and there's a separate sort of shop. The original shop, I think, was where you could all buy the shirts and names and numbers for other players. But I heard, as you might hear in the interview that we have with Lingard, that there was a 4-hour line, basically, that people were waiting for 4 hours to get hold of their Lingard shirts. So, incredible stuff. But I wanted to get there early, just to sort of, get a sense of the atmosphere in and around, out in the ground and outside the ground. And I got there at about an hour before kickoff. Well, about an hour and a half before kickoff. Got in the ground about an hour before the game started, and there was a lot of Seoul fans already there, a lot of Incheon fans already there as well. And I was really hoping that it was going to be a record crowd because, like you said, Matthew, we had those updates throughout the week. I'd read stuff online. People had tried to work it out based on, looking at the ticket website and stuff like that. And I was really hoping that it at least beat the 45,007 that Seoul got last year against Daegu, because that was because of a trot singer, So I wanted football to win this one. I wanted. All right, it's Jesse Lingard. It's like Beatlemania, but I wanted the star attraction to at least be a football player, not a singer. So obviously, like you said, 51,670. So when the media officer came around with the number and he showed it us, I was generally very happy. I was really, really sort of pleased to see. And we were trying to figure out, the whole of the lower bowl was already sold, and we're trying to work out, okay, well, if that's 33,000 and this is this and this. But yeah, it was a decent atmosphere, I think.
Yeah, it was a very decent atmosphere. Seoul started with a chant that I thought was actually Seoul Elander, and then I realized it's actually their normal chant of "We're here," or what is it, Paul?
Yeah, just this Seoul are here.
And
like, basically, they always start. The fans always start with whoever it is the opposition. Come out, you come out, because we're here, or we've arrived. It's like, well, you're always there. You're at home. So you haven't arrived. You're already there. So anyway, but
some slight confusion. Did sound like they were celebrating.
But it's like we've said before. Fans go through their repertoire. It's like a sort of set list, and that's obviously has to be number one every week on the set list. Otherwise, they might lose.
Yeah.
If you don't play the songs in the right order, they might lose.
Well, they might win, and they didn't do either, really, did they? They could have done with perhaps mixing it up a little bit because, I know, I know it's early season, but we obviously saw FC Seoul last week. We were a bit worried about them against Gwangju. Obviously, there was the asterisk that Gwangju are actually pretty good these days, but I expected better from them here. I mean, that front four, that was Pohang, basically. That was Pohang 2019, as far as I was concerned, or as close as we could get. Kang Sung-woo had just returned as well to FC Seoul. There was, there's a lot of excitement building with them at the moment. But it just wasn't working for 30 minutes. And that's how long we had to wait, really, for Lingard to actually take to the pitch.
Yeah, and I think it was very telling in hindsight, looking back on it, that Lingard went out to warm up on his own, not with the other subs. It was clearly this isn't working, and it definitely wasn't working. It was just it was kind of similar to the Guangzhou game, really sort of pedestrian and slow, and they couldn't really break Incheon down. It was quite congested in midfield, but obviously as well, they obviously didn't. I think Kim Ki-dong didn't really like what he'd seen from the sort of midfield that he had, and he decided to make a couple of changes, take off Takayu Shigehiro, who I thought was poor. He gave the ball away, and I think he gave away a corner. It was very, very avoidable early in the first half, and then I know it was his debut, and he's probably a little bit overwhelmed, and it's like he's only just joined the club and thrown straight in. He was just going backwards every time, and if you've got Key there, really you need a ball winner alongside him. And he just didn't really offer anything. So as I said I think in my match report that, well, the only reason why you take off a player in the first half that early is because of the under-22 rule. But it can't have been, because obviously Ite Sok, the left back, is their first choice left back. He had a good first 30 minutes. Obviously, wasn't going to be him. So it also, I think, kind of showed a little bit, not desperation, but a little bit of concern from Kim Ki-dong that I can't really afford to lose this game. I've got to make sure that we fix this as quickly as possible. So, yeah, Lingard came on, and it was a mixed performance, I thought. Generally, he showed some good bits and pieces, but there are also quite a few occasions where clearly he and the other players are not quite on the same wavelength yet, which is funny because he's had, like he said, he's probably played 5 or 6 games in pre-season, and he's had about a month now, really, if you think about it. He signed on the 8th of February, I think. So he's had about a month. The players have been able to sort of get used to him. But I think now, obviously he's not fit yet, but it's probably more beneficial for him to start in the next 2 games. If you can't play the 90, then fine, but take him off after an hour, give him 60 minutes. But it's going to be more beneficial for him to get used to the players, and for the players to get used to him if he starts games. Because it's difficult when you're coming off the bench and you're given last minute instructions from the manager through an interpreter. It'll be better if he just starts the game, which I think he might do. Certainly the sort of the 4th game of the season, the sort of last game of March. I think he might start that one against Jeju this weekend. I suppose time will tell, but yeah, not a good game. We kind of thought, I think it kind of felt a little bit like there was a script, and there were some occasions where obviously Seoul broke forward, and one particular, I think it was about 82 minutes, Kang Song-jin, he did well to find Lingard on the edge of the box, and as Lingard says, the pass was perfect, but he skied it. And he immediately looked down at the turf as if to blame the turf, and he said the ball just sort of bounced up at the last minute. And it just felt like at that moment, I think we all knew that that was the chance, and this is not going to happen. But yeah, it was an occasion that I'm glad I was there for, his home debut in a big crowd, 51,000. But a little bit of worrying signs for FC Seoul. They are missing, I think, again as well. We've talked about this so many times on this podcast, but can you imagine what would happen if a manager picked his best team? Can you imagine what would happen? They might win games. Like Che Jun came on at left back, not right back, and immediately his first thing he did was a really good cross into the box, and Seoul lacked any natural width whatsoever. And obviously, with it being quite congested in there, with Incheon making it very difficult, you needed width. And Lingard, I think, should have played out wide. He was quite deep a lot of the time and surrounded by Incheon players. To me, while he gets used to the team and the league, he should play a little bit out wide, give him a little bit more space, get some balls into the box for Ilychenko and people like that. But what do I know? I mean, we'll see, I suppose, what Kim Ki-dong does this weekend against Jeju. But yeah, some signs of encouragement and hope, but still, it's going to take a bit of time for the sort of Kim Ki-dong magic to sort of really make its way into this FC Seoul team.
Yeah. Well, before we move on to Incheon, let's actually hear from Jesse Lingard. Now, Paul, we do have audio from this because you were the only one who decided to put a dictaphone on the table. Spoilers. So we have the audio from this. We were in the press conference, standing room only in the end here. Yes, Paul.
Can I just say, it might sound like a rabbit is eating the microphone, but it is not. It's not that. It's because I put
Jesse Lingard
it down on the desk and it was in front of the interpreter. So what you hear is him writing notes. So it sounds like a rabbit is eating something. It is not. It is just the notes. But there you go.
All right. Then. So Jesse Lingard and his pet rabbit. Here we go.
That many chances for ourselves. But like I say, we're still building. We're only 2 games in, so we're still building on the confidence side. But like I say, we go back to work next week. We concentrate on the next game and to get the 3 points, which is the important thing.
Did you come off the bench a bit earlier than you thought today? And what was the instructions that you got from the head coach before?
Yeah, it was earlier than I predicted, to be honest. But he told me to play 10 and try and obviously get in between the lines. Which he did first half. They made it a bit more difficult second half. They a bit more compact in the middle. They made us play wide to get the ball in the box. But like I say, we're going to come up against different teams this season. Some teams might give you a little bit more space in the middle. Some teams will force you wide, so it's down to us as players on the pitch to recognise where the space is going to be, and try and hurt them through that.
All right, the head coach had a press conference after the game. He mentioned that Jesse Lingard is a little bit more tired heading to the end of the second half. So the question is, how do you see yourself physically in the current situation?
I'm still building. Played 6-7 games pre-season. 45 minutes plus. With them games. Like I say, I came on a bit earlier than expected today. But as a sub, you've got to be ready. Of course, I've not played a full night in a very long time. But like I say, I'm gonna fatigue a little bit. I'm gonna get tired a little bit. But the crowd, the energy was there from the crowd. It kept me going. These behind us 100%, and to see 50,000 people, turn up today was amazing support from everyone.
All right, the second half, you had the great goal opportunity. The pass was from Sungjin from the right hand side. You had a great opportunity to shoot and score a goal, but that ball went over the goal really huge. And what happened in that time? Because you look at the grass. Can you explain the situation a little bit?
Yeah, the ball was perfect. It took a little bobble just to the hit, but other than that, the run from the run was great. The pass was great, and like I say, it just bobbled up last minute. Maybe that's the star look at the moment. But like I say, that's not gonna get us down. We're still gonna be confident and try and get on the ball. You can't let any little mistakes affect how you play. So it'll never get my confidence down. So we've got to keep on going now. It's about mindset and building a confidence. As a team.
Are you settling into the new surroundings and making progress with that?
Yeah, I've settled in really quickly, to be honest. Quicker than I thought. I'm always up for a new adventure and trying to learn different things, try different foods, and learn the culture. So that's what I've been doing since settling. The club have helped me, sort an apartment out, which I've done, which I'll move like mid-March. you know, been at the hotel, you know, since I've been here. But you know, the lads and the staff and the manager have made me feel, you know, so welcome. And like you say, the support, you know, from the fans since I arrived has been amazing. So, you know, like I say, thank you on that part.
Okay, the question is, you just played 2 games of the K-League. Because this is a little bit early to evaluate the K-League, but how do you see the K-League?
Yeah, it's competitive. You know, it's physical, you know, which is good. You know, it's quick, you know, which is also good. Like you say, you know, 2 games in, I can see, you know, how physical and quick the game is, which is, you know, always suits, you know, my style of football. But like I say, it's just about, you know, adapting to certain games. You know, teams are going to be a lot different, you know, in the K-League. So it's just about, you know, adapting to that and getting our tactics right to go on and win the game. So, you know, like I say, I've, you know, settled in, you know, fairly quickly, getting used to the team, getting used to the surroundings. But, you know, I feel like I've settled in quick.
Okay, like I said, today was the highest liquid of the spectators. It's really your being here is one of the reasons that a lot of people came to the stadium. But like, in order to bring more people into the stadium, of course you need to perform. Obviously, you want to bring the more people into the stadium. So how do you think in the future? Like, you want to bring more people into the stadium, like playing better? What's your plan?
Yeah, I think, you know, the support, you know, was amazing today, and you know, if we can keep that up, you know, throughout the season, you know, of course that'd be amazing. You know, the more fans, the better. You know, the more energy it gives us on the pitch to perform and you know, do it for us and our fans as well. So yeah, I'd probably say obviously, you know, more the better. But like I say, it's down to us then to perform and get the win for the fans as well.
Hi Jesse, I don't know if you were aware, but there was a special Lingard zone set up outside the ground. The love and affection that the fans have for you already here, and that must make you feel great about going on to the pitch as well.
Yeah, I was aware just before the game, to be honest. You know, I got told about it. I didn't know it was, you know, people were queuing up for 4 hours. You know, but since I've been here, since I landed, you know, the first day, the support and, you know, the fans at the airport, you know, have always made me feel welcome. You know, from the people at, you know, at training to the people at the hotel where I stay, you know, the love and support has been, you know, amazing. Like you say, it only gives you confidence when you step on the pitch. You know, in front of all them fans, you got to do well for them. You know, not just yourself, but you got to, you know, give them confidence and give them energy. You know, as well as they give me. So, you know, you can only, you know, I'd love to meet every fan and sign every fan's you know, t-shirt. You know, but the love has been, you know, top, and like I say, I can only give back, you know, on the pitch and do well on the pitch.
All right. That was Jesse Lingard there in the press conference after the game. It sounded very positive of his early time in Seoul there. Still settling in by the sounds of things as well. Still currently in a hotel, but I mean, he's only been here a month at the moment. I don't think he has the same problem with key money as we will have. But
no E2 there, no.
Oh, wait till he goes to a real estate agents here. You'll have fun. But yeah, no. So that was, well, from the Jesse Lingard side, and yeah, if you're listening to this and you actually want to watch this, there is actually video footage that was accompanying that there, and the people who've watched it live have just seen it live as well. And yeah, the crowds there, very visible, very in show there of just how many people were swarming on Sangam for that, and it was a real spectacle. But Incheon, well, they did play. They did play spoiler a little bit. They did get a 0-0 here, and this was a good result from Incheon, in my opinion. They could have the crowd, the size of the crowd, the occasion, it could have overawed them, because this was not about who Seoul were versing on the pitch. It was about who Seoul were playing. Incheon were just merely meat in the room on this occasion, but they came out and they played a really, really good game. I thought like Mpoko and Lee Myung-ju, I thought they really controlled the center of that midfield for good portions of the game. Mpoko I was particularly impressed with, as I mentioned to you, Paul, as I was trying to decide who I'm going to have to race to to interview, but there was one player that also caught my eye, and that was Matej Jeonbuk. He came back at the beginning of the season after 8 seasons away. He last graced these shores in 2016 for Incheon, a different kind of Incheon back then. I snuck out of the press conference to go to the mix zone, where I was the only one for 2 teams at Seoul World Cup Stadium, which was definitely an interesting experience. But, well, more fool them, because I got to speak to Matej Jeonbuk about coming back to Incheon and getting a 0-0. So here he is. Okay, Matej, after late disappointment last week, I guess you were pleased with the reaction from Incheon today.
Yeah, we played a good game today. In my opinion, we didn't allow them many chances. We were solid from the back, defending as a group, as all 11 players, and trying to attack from there, from good defense. We had some chances. We were close, but unfortunately we couldn't get 3 points today.
Unfortunately, but games with Seoul, they're always tense affairs. I mean, there was over 50,000 in the stadium today. Was there, there was a danger that Seoul could be fired up for this match. How was preparation for this game, and do you feel like you executed the game plan as you wished?
We knew there were going to be a lot of people today. It's their first home game this season, and they lost opening game away, and we knew kind of they're gonna try to win, try to put a lot of pressure on us. We prepared well. We stood behind as a group, as a team. We solidly stood behind, and we, as I said, we didn't allow them too much. We had a good game plan, but just speedy at the end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we can't ignore it, and it kind of leads into game plan here, but a lot's going to be said about one player on Seoul today, Jesse Lingard. I guess it's right to mention him here, but was there any specific instructions before this game on how to defend against him, or were your plans more team focused?
No, not really. We don't focus just on one player. We focus on the whole Seoul team and their strategy and their tactics. Of course, he's a great player, and he brings different quality, different style to FC Seoul and the K-League. It's good to have him here. It's a good image for the K-League, and it's good for everybody.
Okay, well, in other news, away from this match, you're back in blue and black. How's the return been so far? Is a lot changed since you were last there?
Yeah, big change. The club itself changed a lot from facilities, from organization, from everything, front office stuff. It's all different level than back then, and it's really good to be here with those group of people, and they share a lot of love with the players, and we can just go forward from this point.
You've just come back from the J-League. What's the biggest thing to adapt to from J-League to K-League in terms of playing style?
Yeah, it's totally different style, and the K-League is more physical and put more stress on defense. The long balls with the challenges, and totally different. Also for me, even I play here, it's been a long way, and now I have to also challenge myself for once again, and I have to prove myself, and I have to work on everything, on every details. So it's a lot of work for me.
Oh, that kind of leads me into what I was going to ask you. I guess a case of unfinished business, perhaps, with the K-League. What are your goals for the season beyond the team's goals? What do you hope to achieve this year?
Yeah, we want to finish in the top tier. We want top 6. It's our goal. And if we have a chance, of course, aim for higher. But we go game by game. Our schedule is tough in the beginning, and the opening game was kind of disappointing, so we have to just stay humble and go game by game.
All right, well, final question. There's going to be a lot of talk about attendance today, a lot of talk about 50,000 in the stadium, but what should be mentioned is the travelling fans today. There was over 4,000 in that Incheon, and just anything to say to the fans.
Yeah, it gives me
really.
chills, it's so good to see our fans coming away to support us, and they give us another boost, another energy, so I'm really thankful for that, and I just can say, keep coming and keep supporting us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Matej Jeonbuk there in the Sangam mix zone after Incheon's 0-0 draw with FC Seoul. As I said before, positive result there for Incheon. But again, no goals. 2 games now, no goals. Magosa was relatively quiet in this match. Do you think Incheon should be worried at the moment, or is still very early days, Paul?
Still early days, and he's one of those strikers that he needs service. You know, he's a proper 9, and games like that, it's going to come down to the odd chance, and I don't think either team really created clear-cut chances. So, I mean, I wouldn't be too concerned yet. In these kind of derby type games, it could go either way for either team. So, I wouldn't be too worried yet. But they've obviously got to start getting points very, very soon. Ulsan next though, so obviously not a great start to the season in terms of how the fixtures turned out, and then they got Daejeon at home at the end of March. So two sort of big games. If they can come out of this, with 3 points, even two draws, I don't know. But as long as it's sort of, I think at this kind of stage of the season, it's more about just getting those points on the board. So the performances will come later, I think, with Incheon. And they did start a little bit slowly last year as well. So I won't be too concerned yet. Cho Sung-man's a great manager. He's a very, very good manager. And they've got a good squad there. And Poku is fantastic, like you said, Matthew. And although Hernandez going is a loss, but it'll mean Poku will play a lot more. He didn't start too many games last year, but he's clearly very, very good. And so I think we'll see more of him this year. He'll be just as important, I think, for Incheon this year than Hernandez was for them last year.
Indeed. Well, Ulsan up next for Incheon, like you said, and we will be talking about Ulsan very shortly. I know we've run on a little bit longer than usual, but Ulsan up next after a win over Jeonbuk midweek. Spoilers, but just to go through the results in K-League 1 from this weekend, then it was Suwon FC 1 against a heavily rotated Jeonbuk, who also. Well, it was a draw, 1-1. That came out my mouth wrong. Gimcheon 2, Ulsan 3, Pohang Steelers 3, Daegu 1, Jeju United 3, Daejeon Hannes Citizen 1, and Gwangju 4, Gangwon FC 2. We have Peter Hampshire in the questions asking, good evening, lads, watching from West Yorkshire. Do you think Gwangju are cemented as a regular top half side now? Come a long way from crowds of a couple of thousand in the stadium next door. Well, Andrew, you're a Gwangju man yourself. I'll let you answer this question. Do you see Gwangju as a top half regular side?
Like we said, in the off season, they lost too many players. I think I can't remember now. I'd like to go back and listen to that first podcast we had of the season, but I think I had them to finish down in 8th or possibly 7th. But a great start of the season and a really poor start to that game. They gave away a dreadful goal early enough in that game. But Jang Ho-yan, I was going to bring him up later on. We're going to talk about the Korean national team. Really glad to see him getting his chance. Only 23 years old, obviously heavily linked with some clubs in Europe recently. But he looked like he had a great game. I saw bits of this game kind of floating in and out of it. But 4-2 against Gangwon to come from 1-0 down and then give away a crazy penalty, absolutely crazy penalty in that game. But it was a good win, and they're exciting. They're really, really exciting to watch. So the neutral in me really hopes that Gwangju can keep this going because they will, like they did last season. They had so many big games last season. They beat Ulsan at home. They destroyed Incheon, like mentioned a couple of times in the podcast when Luke was on. They have an ability to really ruffle the feathers of some of the better teams in the league, and they did that last week, obviously against FC Seoul. So it'd be nice to see Gwangju kind of finish as high as they did last season. The worry for them again though is if they keep overperforming like they did last season, it's going to be really hard for them to keep hold of some of these great young players that they have.
Indeed. Well, we're going to move on quickly to speak about two teams that should be also in the top half with Gwangju at the end of the season. Possibly, don't know. But we'll talk about that after the break. Here we go. Yeah, I played the short one again. So
I love these breaks.
We're back in. Yeah, that's a very short break. You didn't even get to leave. We don't mess about. Yes, welcome back to the K-League United podcast. It's a live episode, everyone. I'm here with Matthew Binns. I'm with Paul Nee and Andrew Farrell. We've talked about the Super Sunday in Seoul. Now, unfortunately, for me anyway, we're going to have to talk about the AFC Champions League quarterfinals. The second leg was this evening for those listening, watching live, but on Tuesday evening. Ulsan finishing 1-0 on the night, 2-1 on aggregate. Ooh, it means that, well, Ulsan, their semi-finalists are yet to be determined. But it does mean Jeonbuk are very likely going to miss out on a Club World Cup. Paul, you wrote about this earlier this week. It's not as straightforward as it looks, though.
No, and it's even more complicated now because they had to update it because Al Nassr got knocked out by a certain Park Young-woo's Al Ain. But basically, there are two scenarios that will lead to Ulsan and Jeonbuk reaching the Club World Cup. First, it's either of them win the competition. Obviously, that could only be Ulsan now. And the other would then qualify on ranking points. The other will depend on who the opposition is in the final. If it's against Al Hilal, who've already qualified, then Jeonbuk and Ulsan will both reach the Club World Cup. So it's lots of ifs and buts. It's still possible, but it's still sort of not clear. But I think it's worth pointing out just why this is such a big deal. It's worth apparently $54.7 million just for qualifying. So that's a lot of money. That will see that's the kind of money that would transform a club, I think, at K-League level. You know what I mean? It was budgets are usually around half of that for a season, I think. So I would say, in terms of like a transfer budget, so and wage budget. So yeah, that's massive. But yeah, this Matthew, I mean, what's going on? I mean, that defending for the goal was shocking.
Yeah, well, as I'm apparently the one in the Munsu press zone in tonight's video, I am not. Yes, no, I'm not. But yeah, it was obviously bitterly disappointing. I'm trying to the calm. The storm has calmed slightly. I think if we'd gone live straight after full time, you might have got a very different reaction out of me. I think, first of all, just regarding the goal, nobody's tracking back. Min Min's not tracking back, whether that's like tactical or not. Obviously, given his pace, he probably has a bit more benefit of being there for the breakaways, but still, he had to get back for that. You're so close to half time, like just see it out. Until that point, Jeonbuk had been okay in that first half. It'd been quite a physical battle. I think, Jeonbuk, they had two chances in that first half, two very clear-cut chances. Min was one of them. He had the second of the two chances. He got played through on goal and just couldn't get it round Cho Yun-woo, who had a fantastic night, it should be said, in net for Ulsan. And there was another opportunity as well for Thiago before that. And within the 6-yard box, kind of tried to side foot it in. Cho Yun-woo was well aware of the danger, managed to keep it out. It was an encouraging first half. I wouldn't say Jeonbuk with a better team, but I'd say it was definitely evenly matched and poised. If they'd gone in 0-0, we could have perhaps seen a different Jeonbuk. But that goal at the end of the first half was Gustav Ludvigsson, lovely crossing to Sol Young-woo at the far post, it has to be said, who hit on the volley, lovely strike, great goal, 1-0, 46th minute. He actually hurt himself in the celebration. I think I believe I read somewhere he's been dealing with an injury anyway, but in just putting his arms up to cheer, he actually did something to his shoulder and had to get some medical attention. But after that, Jeonbuk, they just looked out of ideas. They did get one more chance in. Thiago again, actually. You can have him back, Paul, at this rate. But
we're fine.
No, he's going to find form, and he needs supply, like you've said as well. I don't think he is getting it. Jeonbuk didn't get that many shots away, but they did have some really clear-cut chances here. And he missed that. Jeonbuk, I think there was a point. It was like the 70th minute or something, and it was a really minor point. You won't see it on any highlight reels, but there was just a corner, and they took the corner, and it didn't even make it on the pitch. It just sailed out behind the goal, and you're thinking, oh, this is just absolutely useless. And then the big idea to try and rescue it was bringing on Petrosek, the centre back, bringing him on up front as a striker, trying to cause a bit of chaos. And
that's what he did.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I do kind of like the chaos. I followed the team with Kim Shin-wook in it. Chaos is where this team once was when it came to attack. But but I don't think that was the right idea because Petrosek, he was getting his head on the ball, but he was playing it off to people who weren't able to read which space to move into. So he'd like win the ball and he'd just head it into the center of the box where there was 3 Ulsan defenders. Nobody's played with him up in that position, and he doesn't play as a striker. So it's like, well, this is just wasted. He's just trying to win the ball back, but nobody knows what to do with it. And then he's getting in the way as well. It was like a chance, edge of the box, 93rd minute. You're thinking, hit it. And I think I kicked a cushion across the floor and just trying to kick it with him. And 3 of them, none of them shouting each other's names, just bumped into each other and nothing, and it just summed it up from Jeonbuk. And I'm trying to take a step back and remain positive. The first leg was reasonably good from Jeonbuk. They probably should have won it. They missed the penalty. That Ulsan goal was a bit lucky in their sense, or should we say it was a bit clumsy from Jeonbuk defending rather. But and Jeonbuk had shown a bit of fight last weekend. Second team out against Suwon FC, 10 men down. They did fight back. They did play quite well actually with 10 men. Probably should have won that if they hadn't had the goal ruled out for VAR. So there is like this. There are shoots of optimism, I think, still. I don't know. I don't feel it at the moment, but it's like 2 hours after full time. Right now, I just want to throw the whole thing out the window because as Paul said, this was a massive opportunity to go to the Club World Cup. And after Ulsan, you kind of thought Jeonbuk they're always good value for money against, the J-League sides as well. You thought to get Yokohama in the semi-finals, they might stand a chance of making this final. And they just absolutely blew it. And I don't think Ulsan were amazing in this. Now, I know this sounds like sour grapes. I thought Ulsan defended very well. I thought they were pretty good. I know Jeonbuk had 3 clear-cut opportunities, but Ulsan for the most part were very good in defence. Cho Yeon-woo played a blind. I don't think Ulsan offered very much in attack. You had to rely on Sol Young-woo to get the goal. I'm not 100% sure on this Ulsan side. I know they got a win against Gimcheon, scored 3 goals, but they also conceded 2 as well. And I think this was here. I think this was an opportunity for Jeonbuk. And last week, Dan Petrescu was going on about he still hasn't got his best 11. He still hasn't got his best 11. But look at the 11 you've got. Like, any of those 11 will walk into most clubs in the K-League. They'll walk into most in the Champions League. Just make it work. Stop bemoaning the players you haven't got. Start making it work with what you have. And it grates a little bit. I still think there is reasons to be positive. It's far too early in the season to get to be doing anything drastic. Let's see it out till after the international break at the very least. But I feel like there should be more. Yeah, I feel like there should be a lot more. But yeah, Andrew, you caught the last 5 minutes of it after coming out of your Korean class.
The best 5 minutes, that.
Yeah, it was the best 5 minutes. Yeah, I did exactly what Matt was talking about. I'd love to have seen if the previous 85 minutes were as good as those last 5 minutes, then I definitely missed one hell of a game, because that moment that you mentioned when 3 guys went up for the same ball, and it's just the issue when you bring on a centre back to play up front to cause havoc, to cause a bit of chaos. Mm-hmm. There just can't be that recognition of space or where other players are supposed to be, or where you're probably needed to head the ball in order to get the ball, towards a teammate or something. And it was utterly chaotic to see 3 Jeonbuk players the last minute of the game just collide in against each other. The problem with this is we talked about this in one of the previous podcasts before, and we kind of mentioned a little bit in the group message before we came on. You just wonder how restless people will get, because there is a recent history of that, and it takes time. Like, obviously, the amount of investment that went into Jeonbuk over the winter, they simply have to be given time to sort this out. It can't just click like that. But when you've just dropped out of the weird way that the schedule works, and that one of the biggest games of the season comes right at the beginning of the season because of obviously the K-League calendar, that he's going to be under extra pressure now. But it'd be interesting to see how much time he's given and how much leeway the fans give him to allow those new players to bed in. I agree with you. I only saw the second half of the game on at the weekend against Suwon FC, and they fell behind to just an outstanding individual goal from Lee Sung-woo. But then after that, they probably should have won the game, even though they were down to 10 men. But yeah, I'd say it's difficult enough. I think it's difficult for you as a Jeonbuk fan to accept it, because it just happened. It's so weird the way this game happens 2 weeks into the K-League season, because it does feel like this should have been wrapped up last year. But yeah, Ulsan, the problem with Ulsan, you mentioned it there, that you're not sure about them. Seeing the way Jeonbuk are struggling and seeing the way FC Seoul are struggling, in a weird sort of way, Ulsan mightn't have to do a huge amount to just stay ahead of the pack this year. It mightn't be a great season. I know it's really early to kind of jump to conclusions like that, but Ulsan could at this point, they could just pretty much do what they last season, have a slight fall off in form, and that should still be enough to win the title.
But is it not, all right, for me, is it too simplistic to sort of say that if your manager was a fullback who played in the Premier League, how can you not defend? How does your fullback not know where to be? Because Kim Jin-soo, right? I watched the replay of this goal, or I actually rewound the live stream of the thing on Naver a few times. I wanted to see the build-up of the whole thing. Kim Jin-soo looks straight at So Young-woo, who plays the pass. He plays it in towards Ludvigsen. It does get cleared, right? But then it falls to Ju Min-kyu, who plays it back to Ludvigsen. So Kim Jin-soo has seen this pass. He knows that So Young-woo is there, but he doesn't bother to track him. He doesn't even look. He doesn't even turn and look to his left and see him there. And nobody else says, listen, there's somebody there. How can this? I mean, obviously, he's a very experienced fullback. He's obviously played at a World Cup and 2 or 3 Asian Cups. But come on, how is he, someone of his experience and quality, making an error like that? It was terrible, really terrible. Like you said, Matthew, great cross, a nice calm finish as well. But I don't know. It's just, I thought, it all hinges on that pen that was missed by Thiago in the first leg. It's a sliding doors moment, and it's just those fine margins as well.
Indeed, I think that first leg was where it could have been. When it was always going to be difficult to come to the Munsu. Like, it doesn't matter if you think Ulsan are out of form like I do, or they're just still finding their feet. Munsu is always a difficult place to come, and it was always there for Jeonbuk in that first leg. And well, they didn't get it. They're out of the Champions League. It'll only be a few through very difficult mathematics that they could make the Club World Cup, but. They are in the ACL too. The ACL Too Fast, Too Furious, and that is coming up later this year. So something for Jeonbuk fans to enjoy later on, I'm sure. We are going to have a quick break, and we'll have a quick look.
Not again.
Very quick. I won't be this quick. I'll go for we'll see how quick we have it. But we're going to have a quick break. We'll take our picks from Hwan Sung-hong's recently announced Korea squad, and then we'll also pick our teams for K-League United Survivor. So don't go anywhere.
Fans, we want to hear from you. You're encouraged to email KLU at info@kleagueunited.com or tweet at K-League United with any questions, comments or reactions. Or ask directly during one of our live shows.
Hello, welcome back to the K-League United podcast. Matthew Binns here with Paul Neat and Andrew Farrell. We've run a bit long here, gentlemen, so we're going to be keeping this quite short. Hwan Sung-hong has named his first Korea squad, maybe not his last, who knows, but it's his first as interim manager for Korea's games against Thailand. There are many places that have broke this squad down, probably more in depth than us, but from the K-League angle, I just want to get your thoughts on this squad that has come out. Andrew, which names have stood out to you in this team?
Like, it's hard not to get sentimental about this, but obviously Ju Min-kyu is the name that I'd say everybody just wants to focus on. He's 33. He's going to be 34 next month. The Guardian always runs that's special, or that whatever that regular feature there is every week. The Guardian Knowledge, where people email in a question. I'd like to know how many 33-year-olds going on 34 made their international debut. Especially if he scores, because if he does play, I think Thailand are 101st in the world at the moment. They are obviously improving. They were beaten in the last minute by China in the last round of qualifiers. I didn't see I didn't see the game obviously, but judging by the stats, it looked like they were in complete control of that game, but they lost it right at the end. They were 1-0 up and they lost 2-1. They beat Singapore away, and then they qualified for the knockout stages in Qatar of the recent AFC Asian Cup. So, in Korea had struggled a little bit under Klinsmann as well. You're not going to write these teams off. Yeah, Jeonbuk is obviously a great goal scorer. 22 goals 2 seasons ago for Jeju United, 3 seasons ago, 17 in his last season with Jeju, 17 last season. His first year with Ulsan. He's only played 1 game so far this season. So I think it's a great story that at 33 going on 34, you can get selected to play for your national team for the first time. And I hope he starts. I hope he scores because it will be a great story. And then Jang Ho-yan at Gwangju FC as well. It's another good story. 23 years old. Again, he had 1 assist at the weekend. I don't know if you saw, it was an absolutely brilliant cross with his right foot into the box. And one of these sort of guys, when you watch him play, like even though he's the danger man of that team, he always seems to find space, especially that kind of left-hand side of midfield. I don't know where he's going to fit in because Korea do a lot of, you would have thought, a lot of good guys, a lot of good players who can play in midfield. I think there's no doubt that Jeonbuk has got a great chance of starting. Not sure about Jang Ho-yan, but it's good to get him in at 23 years old. He should definitely be around the squad and around those other players. So there are 2 names I'm looking forward to the most out of the K-League point of view. From the non-K-League point of view, it has to be brought up that every time I read an article about this, one player's name comes up all the time. He plays for Paris Saint-Germain. I don't know why we still have to keep talking about this. However, that name keeps cropping up. I like that this is a double header, basically, against Thailand too. So, they should win the first game comfortably enough. They should. And then maybe a couple of changes when they go to Bangkok for the second leg. But I'm excited. I haven't been this excited, I think, for a Korean squad in a while. It just felt so dead and flat under Klinsmann. Even though this is an interim manager situation, hopefully it's a fresh start for Korea and we just see something, just a little bit more positivity, really.
Paul, anything standing out to you from this Korea squad?
Well, can I just add with Jeonbuk, 33 years and 333 days yesterday. So when the announcement was made,
yeah.
Now he's 334 days for those watching live on this Tuesday evening. But I think for me, the standout one is Lee Chang-gun, Daejeon goalkeeper. Now, obviously, he's in there because Kim Sung-gyu is injured and they need a third goalkeeper. But my sort of KNT source told me a few months ago that he was considered as like that 4th choice whenever they need, to sort of bring in somebody if there's an injury. I think it's well deserved. He's been a very, very good goalkeeper. He played every minute of every game last season, saved Daejeon on so many occasions, and he's a good all rounder as well because he's the kind of keeper that you want because he can do a bit of playing out from the back and he's a good shot stopper. He's a sort of a good mix of Kim Sung-gyu and Cho Hyun-woo. So he's obviously the sort of standout for me. He was K-League until just recently, but Cho Yu-min, I think it's very good to see him being called up. He's obviously just moved to Sharjah in the UAE, so it's nice to see him there. But it's a shame. I'm still a bit bitter that he left, frankly. But he's definitely deserves his place in this squad. He's just such a good modern ball-playing centre-back, and I think Daejeon will miss him, and we'll see that this season. But other than that, I don't think there were too many other surprises. I think it's kind of fitting. It's kind of funny that Hwang has brought back a lot of the players that went to the World Cup, but Klinsmann had overlooked. So sort of Kim Moon-wan, Gwang Gong-won. Who else did he bring back in? There's a few others as well. Paek Sung-ho was back in there as well. So
yeah, I was going to say.
He's sort of brought back players that Klinsmann had decided not to pick for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to pick Paek Sung-ho. I know he's not K-League, but obviously he was in K-League until very recently. And he seems to be doing all right at Birmingham for the most part from what I've seen in the highlights. But I guess a player who's not in there, but perhaps could be. I mean, we've brought it up before, but Lee Sung-woo, does he deserve a call back at this point?
I don't know what he has to do. Not.
2019? I was
Sorry,
going to say 2019, his last appearance, that was against Iran, wasn't it?
could
Something
be.
like that. It was a while
Yeah,
back.
and since then he's done TV work instead throughout the World Cup.
Mhm.
It's really hard to believe that he's only 26 and he just turned 26. It's incredible. But yeah, I think I was reading this earlier on today. 11 appearances for Korea, only 3 starts, 8 off the bench, and it's now 2019 against Iran since the last time he's featured. Top goal scorer for Suwon for the last 2 seasons, and as you're going to bring up there, obviously he scored twice already this season, and the goal at the weekend was a beauty.
Yeah, well, you've mentioned it already that it was a beauty. You don't need to keep mentioning it.
It was a really good goal against Jeonbuk. Yeah,
yeah, no, it was. I do think he has to. I don't know whether he's got a place in the starting 11, but I do think that he's done enough to be in the contention. I don't see what the problem is in not including him here. But yeah, they would be my picks for that. But we're not going to really build too much on the Korean national team. But if people want to tell us who they wanted to see in the Korean national team, then please get them in the comments below. We're going to have to wrap this up. We have gone on far too long, like we always do. Okay, I know. But we're going to wrap it up now. Before we do, though, let's quickly run through the weekend fixtures and make our picks for K-League Survivor. So just going through the weekend fixtures. In K-League 1, match day 3, we have Daejeon Hana Citizen at home to Gangwon, Daegu FC at home to Suwon FC, FC Seoul at home to Jeju United, Gimcheon Sangmu at home to Jeonbuk, Pohang Steelers at home to Gwangju, and Ulsan at home to Incheon. In K-League 2, we have Cheonan City hoping to bounce back against Songnam FC. Gyeongnam FC are hosting Chungnam Asan, and Bucheon FC 1995 are hosting the high-flying Seoul Eland. Busan I Park are going to be taking on a Gimpo Citizen side hoping to bounce back from defeat. Jeonbuk Cheongju are taking on FC Anyang, and Ansan Greeners are hoping to make it 2 wins in a row against Suwon Samsung Bluewings. We have a game, K-League Survivor. It's on our Patreon. It's called on patreon.com/K-League United. It costs, you have to just join our $3 tier to play. It's very simple. You can still join. If you join this week, you have 2 lives. Obviously, if you joined last week, you got the full 3 lives. And the idea of the game is to pick a team that doesn't lose each week. And if you pick a team that does lose, then you lose a life. Very simple. But the only catch is you cannot pick the same team twice. So we're just going to give our picks for the weekend and wrap things up here. Paul, who have you got not to lose this weekend?
Thinking Gyeongnam against Chungnam Asan at home. I think they're going to have to bounce back from that massive loss at the weekend. So yeah, maybe them. Or the Bluewings away at Ansan Greeners. I don't know. I'll have to decide, but one of those 2, I think.
Not Ansan Greeners that won 3-1 at the weekend in Tanchon. All right, you make your bed, you can lie in it. Andrew, who are you picking for K-League Survivor?
At one point, I was looking at Ansan Greeners. I was thinking if you want to go deep in this tournament, at one point you're going to have to pick Ansan Greeners at some point. And early on in the season, results are a little bit more predictable. They had a great win last week, but it's a tough one. It's a tough one to pick. I'm not going to pick Jeonnam. I'm sorry about that. I am going to pick Daejeon Hana Citizen. I just think that it's their first home game of the season. It's their first home game of the season. They were awful in Jeju at the weekend. But then against a side that's got 1 point from 2 games and conceded some very sloppy goals in Gwangju at the weekend. So I cannot see Daejeon Hana Citizen losing at home to Gangwon FC. And the way it is, I think we all expect Daejeon to be okay this season. If you're going to use Daejeon pick, it might as well be at home to Gangwon FC.
That's kind of been my strategy to pick who Gangwon playing. So probably Daejeon Hana Citizen. I'm probably going to have to. Yeah, I might copy their Daejeon Hana Citizen. I don't think they're going to lose to Gangwon FC. So we've cursed it for sure. But yeah, if you want to play along, you can still join K-League Survivor. That's patreon.com/K-League United. Tiers start at $3. That also includes early access to all our Mix Zone footage. Well, it could be footage, but also our Mix Zone audio straight after games. We put them up there unedited for you to listen to. It's also got some articles on there as well, and video cuts of some of our other podcasts as well, where we make bigger messes than we do when we do it live. But we are going to end it now, because I keep saying we're going to end it, and it is an hour and 20 minutes in. We have gone far too long, gentlemen. So from myself, Matthew Binns, from Paul Neat, from Andrew Farrell, Chaichulsun, see you soon. Thanks for listening.
정조선 고공 폭격기